All right, guys, out here today. Beautiful, beautiful late February day. 55 degrees. Water's pretty freaking cold for sure. But really great about these creeks and branches that actually flush into the river is they actually flush this stuff out pretty quickly. We've had a massive chemical dump of sodium chloride, obviously, all the salts. And chemicals treated on all the roads like everybody else in the Northeast. All that ultimately gets flushed down into creeks like I have right behind me. And then it runs all the way down from all the storm drains, dump into the creeks and branches, and they feed into the river. I've been out about 3 times. This has been the best of the 3 in terms of the salt content. You can see a lot of that on the rocks. You know, that residual stuff from the chemical treatments. I got roads kind of every, in bridges that have been iced over, chemically treated along this creek line right here. But this is the best we've looked. We got some snow potentially maybe coming after the weekend coming up, early March again. I think the worst is behind us. The main river is still pretty much a shit show. Rising water, though it's come back down. It rose about 6-7 feet. It's come back down. Most likely a rise. Oh man, there's a nice little trout right there. And these things just kind of like, we're going to get that ebb and flow probably here as we get into March. And then the March rains probably will come and we'll get the high water again like we normally get. But it's really, really great to be out. We've had some really, really cold days that have just shut everything down. If we get a couple days like this back to back to back, it should be great going into the weekend. Not too bad of a morning so far. Caught a few little trout and a few little smallies in the creeks. A lot of fun, this time of year, to catch a lot of the juveniles. But we've also had a lot, and this probably could be going down in your area too, especially if you're in the DMV area. We've got Virginia, West Virginia, and Maryland all stocking trout right now. The conditions to stock trout are optimal conditions right now because the water is so cold. Some of the places still have snow on the banks. Okay, as you get further up, and that cold water allows those trout to increase that survivability rate, right? As opposed to like a warming trend where the temperature rose rapidly. That the trout really don't function very good with that. Especially trouts coming from the hatchery that are being stocked. I've had about anywhere from 3,500 to 5,000 trout probably stocked within an hour of me, in every direction. So feeder creeks to lakes, in lakes, things like that. But it's been really great to be actually out again, and just walking in the creek. I'm in a creek now that's 8 inches, 6 to 8 inches in depth. It's been up where I'm sitting. Was up this high 2 weeks ago where I'm sitting, and I get up. I'll show you the bank here that actually fills up numerous times. I can turn this around a little bit. You can see behind me this bank. I'm actually down in the embankment, okay, on the creek bed where I'm sitting, and this bank right here typically fills up with water repeatedly when we get high water conditions, massive rains, snow, ice melt, all the typical things you could think of will actually fill this. If you look across the river here, you can see the bank on that side as well, and that's where that water rises up that bank. And literally two and a half weeks ago, this thing was like 4 feet. And now you can see it's basically, under a foot, or half a foot. So it's just kind of crazy. But the smallmouths will make their ways up in these creeks when the river is in these conditions. If they can't find that oxygenated water this time of year, the water being cold is not as much of a problem. It's they want to find that water that's got a lot of oxygen in it. And a lot of times they can do that in these swift-running creeks and branches as opposed to the main channel or the main river, especially when you get to the river and there's a lot of that salinity impacting the shallows. that are flooding the shallows from all of the runoff that's emptying in all along, the river, upriver and downriver. So, the smallies will intermingle in them, and then you've got the trout stocking going on. A couple things I want to talk about. Some new baits I got at the expo season this year, and I love it when I find neat finds at the expos that I was unfamiliar with, and that I can introduce to everybody. And one of those is muddy water lures. Okay, picked up a bunch of baits at the expos this year, and I'll show you two of them that have already caught fish for me. Both trout, and love these baits because both trout and smallmouth. So it's really, really cool. And this is actually the rainbow pattern. Okay, this is the rainbow pattern. And so when you think about these considerations that you want to make, especially if you live in an area where they're stocking trout, these trout are like instant forage for other species a lot of times when they first get introduced, especially if they're being introduced in areas, creeks, streams, and even lakes that have bass or other species. They can easily become forage very quickly. And so whether you're throwing a jerk bait maybe because it's February, or you want to go something downsized to like this because I'm in a small creek, and conditions, you want to keep your baits really, really small. This has been freaking really, really killer. And then, of course, I had to do this. It's just, if you're from the Northeast, you kind of know what I'm talking about, but I had to go with the pink. I don't know if you can pick that up. The pink color is just incredible. And the smallies can't lay off this stuff. So well done on this from Muddy Waters. These are 2.75 paddle tails. This is a bubble gum pearl. Okay. And this one is a baby rainbow, which is what they're stocking, mostly in Maryland and Virginia. They're also stocking Goldens, as well. But just great, options for you this time of year if they're stocking rainbow trout or golden trout or any kind of trout in any of your river systems or creek feeders, okay, that feed up, and you can walk back up and do some awesome fishing. Days like this when you're in the midweek, you don't see too many other people, but in about a month or two, there'll be guys fly fishing and all your creeks all through the Shenandoah Valley, all through West Virginia, up into Pennsylvania, when the season starts in different localities. But you'll see a whole bunch of people from your bridges. As you cross the bridges, you'll see guys fly fishing. It's really, really awesome. The other one I want to talk about is something that's hitting. It's hitting, man, and it's been hitting in Japan for a number of years, but it's just really starting to hit here. The BFS stuff, and this is the Bass Day, and these little things, man, you'd be surprised like what you can get smallmouth to eat, with small baits, as well as trout, Trout fishing is huge in Japan. A lot of people don't like, it's a big deal, and these little baits are just a little BFS trend. Look at the reflection on that. You could just see, I haven't broken this one out, but I've got like 4 of the same color because I just wanted to show you the packaging of it. You can probably pick this up at most of your JDS stores. They're not cheap as a 45S. They're not cheap. They're like $15. And I know a lot of people don't want to part with $15 for a small little bait like that. But they'll pay $25 for a jerk bait from Megabass, right? But they catch, and just really, really cool. You can always change out the hooks as well if you don't like that style of hook. If you want to go to a bigger hook or a different branded hook from the States, you can change your hooks out, obviously. But those are just a couple of the ones that I've been rolling with. Lots of fun, for sure, today. Crazy. It's the first opportunity today. It was the first time I've actually seen some deer. Like I said, I've been out 3 times, but the deer just been like, because of all the snow on the ground, just have not seen a lot of deer when we've been out, since like around the 18th or 19th of January when we got hit by that major storm. But finally starting to see them come back out. Step up, give you a little walk here. Along, and you guys can see what's going on here. You can see the deer. You can actually see the deer prints along the bank as well. But this is where we're at. Like, you can see conditions and what's going on. But great little area all around. Hit up your creeks. Hit up your creeks and your branches that are feeding, that are definitely feeding your main river. Once they begin to clear up, you get a great indication of when they start to clear up, like I'm seeing today. That's going to translate pretty quickly to the main channel, the main river. Now, obviously, if that ice melts further up north, you're going to get high water and you're going to get muddy water, you know, in the short term as the ice melts, right? We always get that. And they have gotten a lot of snow this year in western Pennsylvania, Ohio, up in New York, you know. And so when all that stuff happens, you need to look to see if that stuff directly impacts your river system. For us, it's pretty much the creek beds are our rain runoff, our storm drain runoff, things like that. They're not heavily influenced by other events up north, but the main rivers are. So because they all have feeder systems that are attached to rivers or other areas and tribs from your main rivers. And so, you know, they'll directly impact it. So you want to pay attention to your gauges for sure. But if you can get into your creeks and into your branches, okay, that feed your main river, and you can see the change, the switch that I'm seeing, this bodes well for the weekend before the next storm, because it's the clarity is pretty good compared to where it was a week ago in this creek right here. You can see the rock bottom. You know, a week ago, 2 weeks ago, forget about it. It was just freaking chocolate, and freaking, like I said, the water was, you know, covering this log I'm sitting on. And I'm a good 8 yards from the water right now. So awesome day, awesome morning. Little mix of some trout and some smallmouth, juvenile smallmouth, you know, 8 inches, and some trout. Not, you know, it's going to be interesting to see what we see in the coming days. I'm probably going to hit out the lake that I know they're probably stocking either today or tomorrow, on the other, you know, close near my house. They do a big stocking, always do a big stocking, either late February or early March in the lake. You guys can check out on YouTube. I've done some videos from the lake before when they've stocked the trout. It's always good times, man, because it creates a feeding frenzy. So just, even if, you know, if you're a bass angler, you know, and you lake fish, when they stock these trouts, man, it can get pretty crazy. It's a lot of fun. So just check your state DNR, DWR website for trout stocking. They, you know, I know Maryland lists the freaking days. The days they're actually stocking, like the day of that they've stocked. You know, to get you a nice little 24-hour jump, maybe go out the next day or things like that. How many they stocked, what kind of trout that they stocked, all that kind of stuff. So it's really awesome, you know, to get out there. But like I said before, check out Muddy Water Lures. You know, especially their 2.75 paddle tails on their website. Just really crazy little sick baits. Kind of remind me a little bit of the Kitech baits. You know, and they work, you know, and so, you know, you can't really argue with that when you're out, you know, on a nice February morning, when the sun's finally out and we're at like 55 degrees. So, all right, we'll get back with you. Check out some of the short videos if you're on the channel and on YouTube. I'll put a little bit of snapshots of this section in some short videos. I'll do some photos and all that stuff to give you an idea of kind of like, you know, where I'm at, where I've been at this morning, and what's been happening. But it's been a lot of fun.